What's going on, everyone? In today's video, we're going to talk about having the correct mindset when it comes to doing some online book arbitrage for this upcoming January textbook season. And what inspired this video was actually this particular book right here, Chemistry, the Central Science, the AP 14th edition. It's actually technically not a college book. It is a high school book. It does have a little bit of a January textbook season, generally as mainly an July, August textbook season, because again, it is a high school textbook. But basically what I, kind of found from this book applies to the college textbook season coming up here in January. And that is this idea that it is very difficult to buy a lot of these books at the absolute bottom. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at any keyword graph of any book that shows a seasonality pattern where prices are really low in the off season and then they inflate in price during the actual textbook season, there are always like a single days, like a day here or a day there where the price gets what appears to be the lowest price ever. But it's hard to know whether at any given time when you are looking to pick up a book in the off season, whether or not that particular day is going to be the day where you actually catch the bottom. You catch the absolute, lowest price that you'll ever get. And kind of the correct mindset that you should have here is that for a lot of these seasonal books that show patterns, year after year of just performing amazingly well during each textbook season, is not necessarily did you buy the book for the least amount of money? Did you get the best deal, right? It's more, did you actually buy the book? Right. And what I mean by that is you could get into a lot of these books. Like, for example, this book here in this July, August, September high school textbook season, got into the buy box, around 115, even got up to 140, even got up to 170. Generally, the lowest use price was right around 100 during the peak time, like when this book was selling the most. And, regardless of whether or not you got the cheapest price of this book, like let's say maybe the cheapest price was $38, or let's say you picked it up for $42 or $46 or $48. It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, if you would have bought a copy at anywhere in that range, you would have been profitable and you would have made money. And so many people on the sidelines who don't buy books do so because of this analysis paralysis. We're like, okay, well, I've got all these things that I've got to think about, and I want to make sure I'm getting the book for the absolute cheapest price. And I understand that, right? Because buying books on Amazon to resell on Amazon is an investment, right? It takes quite a bit of money to actually buy a lot of these books. Like this book, if you wanted one copy and you were buying it between March, April, May, June, or July, you were going to be paying at the low end, probably the low 40s up to $50 or $60. So that's just for one book title. That's a lot of money for a lot of people. And again, what we can do just to prove this point is we can put in different price points and show that you would have been profitable. Now, I guess the first thing that we should do is actually show you that I did actually sell this book. I do have some historical data of me selling the book. So it looks like I sold it, what this would have been 3 months ago for $129, $114, $119. It looks like I sold one copy for $120 and then it got refunded. Someone returned the book, sold one for $117. I had another person buy it for $117 and cancel the order. So basically selling the book in the range from $117 to $129. So what we're going to do is just go in with the lower end of those sales with $117. And I actually picked this multiple copies of this book up last year for around $48, $49, $50, right? And so at $48, selling it for $117, that's a $36 profit, 76% ROI. That's an amazing flip. Getting 76% ROI on a book flip, a book that you never had to touch, it just went right to a prep center, showed up at an Amazon warehouse, all you did is reprice it and then it sold, and it made you that sort of margin. That's pretty incredible, especially considering that this particular book is a book that actually has an amazing sales rank. Like its sales rank stays very, very low here, July, August, September, and it's selling multiple copies a day. Can I absolutely guarantee that. And my point here is that, this copy that I bought at $48 and made a $36 profit on, like that may not have been the cheapest I could have picked it up for. Like if I look back actually in May and I kind of zoom in, it looks like potentially maybe I could have picked it up for $38 plus shipping. So maybe like 42 would have been the bottom. And of course, picking it up at 42 is better. It would have been 100% ROI. I would have made a $42 profit. So certainly that's better than the $48 price point. But what I don't want to happen to you is for you not to pick up amazing books just because you might not have gotten the absolute lowest price. Because imagine if I didn't pick this book up. Imagine if I said, $48, it's a little bit too expensive. I still think it's going to go way down, or I still think it's close to the bottom, but it's not at the bottom. Well, if I didn't buy this book and didn't buy multiple copies, I would have not have made would have been $150, $200 in profit, right? And so I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that this is a high school textbook that recently has dropped in price down to what I think the target price is. Like you can see recently this book has gotten down here into basically, the mid 40s, went down to $44. Now it's back up to 53. And what I tend to do when I'm buying seasonal books, or even in just all year round books in general, is whenever I think that the book is at a current price that is a good deal, I'm going to pick up a copy, even regardless of whether or not I think the book will go down or not. And the reason why this works, especially for a lot of books like this that sell plenty of copies, is because you can dollar cost average in and get your cost basis to average out at a decent price. What I mean by this is simply like, if you look at this right here, which represented like the lowest use price of the book from March, April, May, June, July of the previous textbook season, like if you would have bought anywhere in this range, you would have been amazing. And the reason why you would have been amazing is because during the textbook season, the book was selling at the lowest price up there and in the buy box way up there. And so it doesn't really matter if you bought the book really there, or you bought it there, you bought it there, you bought it there, you bought it there. What matters is, did you buy the book? Did you buy the book for $48? Did you buy the book for $52? Did you buy it for $54? Did you buy it for $58? Like, did you actually buy a copy or multiple copies? Because if you did, then you didn't miss out. You made money. You made profit, even despite the fact that you might not have gotten the best deal and made the most money. And so I'm actually going to show you, right? I've purchased multiple copies of this book, even though, again, this is technically probably not going to pop off and do really well until the next, high school textbook season, which is going to be pretty far away. I mean, it's not a year away, but it's going to be 8, 9, 10 months away. But I'm perceiving that I believe that this book at its current offer count, based upon its past performance, is a book that's still probably going to perform very well. And I've purchased multiple copies of this book recently, and I'll show you that. All right, so you can see I picked up a number of copies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies on October 25th. And all of these are going to, be a little bit different price. Some are going to be more expensive, some are going to be cheaper. And so if I just open up, the details of each of these orders, we'll see that, all of these are going to be slightly different. They're probably not going to be the lowest price ever. And actually, by the way, I did use rewards points, I think, for all of these. So $46.86 for that book. Looks like this one was also $46.86, $46.93. This next one was actually a little bit higher, $51.18. And then finally, $48.12. And so basically, I'm picking up a bunch of copies of this particular book, and some of these all will be cheaper than other copies that I pick up. But again, what matters is, am I actually getting exposure to the market with this particular book? And really, that's one of your goals, right? With seasonal textbook flipping, with seasonal flipping in general, is you want the most exposure to the market as possible. You want the most number of unique titles that represent this upcoming season as possible, because you give yourself more opportunities to make sales. You give yourself more opportunities to be able to rake in the profit for all of these amazing opportunities that present themselves during this particular time of the year. So even though, some of these were cheaper and some of those were more expensive, it doesn't matter in the end. They're all going to average out to some certain cost basis. And again, what I could do here, looking at the Keeper graph and looking at how this book has started to go down, is anytime I perceive this is under, let's say $48 or $49 or even $51 for that matter, I think this is a pickup. I think it's a buy. And so anytime it gets under that, I'm going to go and pick up a copy. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit cheaper. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but overall it'll average out. I'll get a cost basis that I'm happy with. I'll be able to build up a position in this book of, ideally for a book like this, I'd want to have at least 10 copies because, I had 3 or 4 copies in this previous year and they all sold out very quickly. And so I want more copies this time. And of course, I'm going to try to find them for as cheap as I can, but I'm also not going to worry about getting the absolute bottom price. What I'm going to worry about is, can I get 10 books in a range, which I think is going to be very profitable. And I think that's what we're doing here. And so one way that you could do this is just be okay with a certain number. Like, okay, anytime this book is under $50, let me know and have a plan. I'm trying to buy 10 copies of this book. Anytime it gets under $50, I'm going to buy a copy, regardless of if it's 42 or if it's 48 or it goes down to 39. Just pick up the copies that you need and then move on. Forget about it. Live your life. You've got the copies. They're sitting there in the Amazon warehouse. You've got a good position. You got them at a decent price, and you perceive that they're going to do well and sell. And just stop worrying about it, right? And maybe I'm the one that gives a lot of people analysis by paralysis by analysis, but at the end of the day, I'm realizing that making things more simple, hopefully this video helps, is actually what's going to help people take action. And so what I'm saying is take action on these books. Now, I do want to say that this video is sponsored by Bookmine, which is a software that Victor Gagos and I had built. And Bookmine is an incredible tool that you guys can use to make your sourcing much more quick, easier. You can even on Bookmine go to book type and actually select high school books and college books. So specifically college, January textbook season is coming up. These are all books that we've identified on Bookmine as being books that actually have a January, August textbook season. And so you'll see a lot of the kind of similar patterns, and a lot of these books here are actually going to be pickups. Like a lot of these books here are books that I would start at and buy multiple copies of. So, I think this really illustrates the point. Kind of what you're looking for are books that do or follow a pattern where the used price goes up like that, then it goes back down and then goes back up. Similar to like this one right here, price goes up, goes back down, and then goes back up. And then where you're also looking at where the sales rank improves dramatically there at the same time during the textbook season. So as you prepare for the upcoming textbook season, Bookmine is a great option because you saw all I had to do is click one button to find a bunch of college textbooks that you potentially might want to buy. It's a great starting point. And yeah, if you guys want to try out Bookmine for free for 10 days, you guys can do so with the link down below in the description. Now, a couple last tips before we head out here. Tip number one is what I want you to do is look at textbooks that you had sold in the previous year. I guess you could look at the most previous textbook season, which would have been August, September, or maybe, the high school textbook season, which started in July, and look for the books that perform very well. And you should know what those books are because you may have bought multiple copies of them, or the book might have sold out really quickly, or you might have sold it for a lot of money. I want you to go back and look at those books, and I don't want you to forget about them. I want you to see if you can't build yourself a position, or in other words, buy some copies of those same books that did well, so that you're prepared for the upcoming January textbook season. As of the filming of today, it's October 27th. The January textbook season is going to be here very quick. What you have to remember is that we're in Q4, and what that means is everyone who's selling stuff on Amazon, which is literally everybody in your neighbor, everyone who's selling stuff on Amazon is sending stuff to the Amazon warehouse during these months. Things are going to get really packed, really busy, very quick. So you're wanting to start buying books so that they can get there for that January textbook rush. So this is an amazing time, a great time where textbooks prices are starting to bottom out, right? Because there's not really much demand anymore. You've had your semester and quarter systems going on for a while. People already have their textbooks. They don't need their textbooks as of this moment. And so you're getting a bottoming out of a lot of these college textbooks right now, which means it's a great time for you to actually start picking them up. So best thing that I can recommend is look at what performed for you well in the past. See if you can't pick up and build a position for those books again for this upcoming January textbook season. Obviously, use Bookmine, use Keep a Product Finder to try to find those other textbooks that might perform well in the future that you haven't yet bought. See if you can't do well with those also. Now, my last tip for you is I want you to also experiment with buying multiple copies of unique titles. I probably would only recommend this if you've gone through at least a couple of textbook seasons. But if you have gone through a couple of textbook seasons, I want you to experiment, or at least to challenge yourself to try to buy multiple copies of at least a few textbooks, right? A lot of people may only buy one copy of each textbook because they're afraid that they don't want to buy too many. But I want your strategy to be to see if you can't buy multiple copies of some books. And of course, keep it within reason, right? Books that are selling much more quickly are books that you're going to want to buy more copies of. Books that don't sell very often, you're going to want to buy less copies of. And so just to kind of make something really simple, right? On Bookmine, if we use selling meter, let's say 8 to 10, you should see, or you will see here that the sales rank of these books that have a score, a selling meter of 8 to 10 are going to have many, many more sales rank drops, and they're going to have more pronounced textbook seasons. Like you can really see the sales rank U out there and get very, very low for those particular times. And similarly, if you go to selling meter, which is significantly less, like let's say you go to a selling meter of 1 to 3, you're going to see these types of books have much fewer sales rank drops and also probably have a much weaker textbook season. So when I say try to experiment buying multiple copies, I guess what I'm saying is for those books that tend to sell a lot of copies, for those books that have very low sales ranks, that bottom out and have that really long extended U-shaped sales rank pattern, try to buy just more than one copy. Try to experiment with 2 copies, 3 copies, 5 copies, up to 10 copies, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that a lot of the books that you buy multiple copies of, they'll all sell, especially if you were able to pick up those books in a good range. Like you were able to get a pretty good cost basis on your position. But I think that's kind of my goal for you going forward. So guys, I hope you found all of this helpful. If you did, then make sure you hit the like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.